Hola a todos y bienvenidos a Coffee Break Spanish. Welcome to Coffee Break Spanish. This is a special live broadcast. It is Saturday. It's 3:30 p.m. in the UK, which means it's 10:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 in the morning over on the Pacific Coast, and in the middle of the night in Australia and New Zealand. But we are here to talk about our Black Friday sale for Coffee Break Spanish. Now, in this live broadcast, I'm going to be answering your questions. So I would love, first of all, to hear who you are and where you're from. I can see some people posting already in the comments. That's fantastic. And also to hear if you have any questions about our Coffee Break Spanish courses. Now, this is specifically about Coffee Break Spanish. We are both broadcasting on our Coffee Break Spanish Facebook page and on our Coffee Break Languages YouTube channel. So, of course, on YouTube, maybe we have some people here who are not learning Spanish. We do have other videos from earlier in this week about our other languages, so do check them out if you're learning French or Italian or German. Then there are specific videos for each of those languages, and we also have some generic videos which explain everything about our Black Friday sale and about our courses, because that's really what this is all about. So let us see who you are. Let's see who's joining us today. We've got Alexandre. Hola, Alex. Let me just position this in a better way. We have Linda joining us from Durham. Hola, Linda. We've got Medardo from the Netherlands. We've got Dot joining us in London. Muy bien. We've got Ariel joining us from Tel Aviv. Fantastic. We've got a question here from Tim. We'll come to this later. Tim, I would like, instead of I want to sound more polite, we will definitely come to that later. Ali is learning Deutsch or German. This video is going to be about Spanish, but there are videos about German on our site, especially about all our Black Friday deals and so on. We've got Alison joining us from Carcassonne. Bonjour, hola. We've got Jessica joining us from Atlanta. Got a question about the masterclass. I'll be telling you about that a little later. Simon's joining us in Niagara Falls. Fantastic. I was in Niagara Falls last year. Oh, a fantastic place. We've got Zach joining us from Arkansas. Nigel's from Canada asking a question. I'll come back to that later. Ellen's from Lanarkshire even. Good afternoon, Ellen. We have got, who else do we have? We've got Patrick joining us in Newcastle. JP from over there, Scotland. We've got Sandra in Aberdeen. Lots of you joining us. Joy is joining us from Saudi Arabia. Fantastic. Basically, over the next half hour or so, maybe a little longer, I'm going to be talking through all of our Spanish courses. One of the questions we get most often is, where do I start? I'm not sure where to start because we've got so many Coffee Break Spanish courses. Sometimes it's a little difficult to know exactly where to start. So everything looks good. We seem to be having comments on both Facebook and on YouTube. So that's all good. It means that we can get started with our session here. Now, if you do have any questions, then please do post them in the comments. What would be really handy is if you could post the word question and then ask your question. And that way I can see it easily when I'm scrolling back through all the questions when we come to answer questions a little later. I'll be stopping at various points to answer any questions that you have. So I'll be very happy to answer your questions. Okay, let's get started then. We are going to be talking, as I said, about all of our Spanish courses today and really focusing on the opportunities that our online courses provide. We have our podcasts, and I'm sure that many of you are familiar with our podcasts. So once we share all that information for free, we share all the lessons on our podcast for free, but you can take it further. You can get access to more content like the podcast content, and they're part of our online courses. And of course, this week, we're offering 40% off all our courses. So I'll be telling you exactly how to take advantage of that fantastic deal a little later. But let me begin by giving you a kind of overview of what we have available in Spanish. So to begin with, let's see, we've got our 4 main seasons of Coffee Break Spanish. So Coffee Break Spanish season 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are our main seasons, and each of these have 40 lessons. And you'll have heard the podcasts of these, of many of them I would imagine. Some of you might be recently started Spanish, in which case you can be following season 1. If you're more advanced, then you can be following our later content. In our podcast feed, we put all of our new lessons, including the travel diaries, the Coffee Break Spanish magazine and so on. But on the Coffee Break Academy, which is our website, our online course site, everything's organised by course. So you would be able to access the Coffee Break Spanish Season 1 course and work through that, and you'll be able to access all of the materials there within the Coffee Break Academy. And I'll be showing you exactly what that looks like. In addition to our 4 main courses, then we also have some shorter courses. So these are smaller courses. There's normally 10 lessons in these shorter courses. Things like our Coffee Break Spanish magazine, the Espresso. We've got En Marcha con Coffee Break Spanish, which I'll tell you a little bit later on, and our Coffee Break Spanish travel diaries. So all of these are shorter courses allowing you to develop your skills further. And again, I'll be giving you examples of all of this in this session. So we're going to focus first of all on our beginners content and then work up to the advanced content. Obviously, those of you who are watching this, you may be at different levels. Of course, you'll be at different levels. Everyone will be at a different level. Hopefully, I'll be able to explain exactly the kind of materials that you will find useful, regardless of whatever level you are at, because we're going to be working through them from beginners through to advanced in this session. I'll also be very happy, as I said earlier, to answer your questions. So please do post your questions in the chat. I can see some questions coming in. I will be doing... I'll be stopping off to answer some of these questions as we go through. So thank you very much for posting the word question before your question. That's really helpful to me because I can see the questions immediately. Okay, let's get started then and take a look at Season 1. So Season 1 is for absolute beginners. If you've never studied a word of Spanish before, then Season 1 will be perfect for you. However, it's also for what we would call false beginners, people who perhaps have done some Spanish in the past. Maybe you learned some Spanish at school, or maybe you took a night class or something like that a few years back and have forgotten a lot of it. So you, whether you're a complete beginner or a false beginner, will benefit from Coffee Break Spanish Season 1. The contents in Coffee Break Spanish 1 focus on transactional language, the kind of language that you need when traveling in a Spanish-speaking place or working with Spanish-speaking friends or making friends with Spanish speakers when perhaps you're not traveling. Obviously, travel is something that's a little more challenging at the moment. It's not quite as possible and as easy to travel, but let's face it, we might as well learn some Spanish for when we are ready to travel again. So we'll be looking at greetings and talking about yourself, talking to other people, getting to know people through the Spanish language. We will be looking at practical language topics, so the kind of things like checking into a hotel. You'll be looking at ordering food and drink, dealing with situations like emergencies and medical situations and so on. So all of that will be covered within our Season 1 course. But it's very much not a course of just phrases. We don't believe in just teaching a series of phrases because, first of all, if you learn a series of phrases, then you know them for the 30 seconds after you've learned them, and then you forget them. Because if you don't understand why a phrase is the way it is, then you're not going to understand it as well, and you're not going to be able to repeat that. So right from the very beginning in Coffee Break Spanish, we will be introducing the grammar and introducing how the language works, because the way in which the language works is very important. It is what will allow you to manipulate the language and say what you want to say, rather than saying the set phrase that perhaps you've learned and maybe even forgotten. So from Season 1, we'll be starting to introduce that grammar and helping you build a strong foundation, build a strong, the groundwork, basically, the foundations on which you'll build afterwards. So that's Season 1. Now, Season 1, if you're familiar with the Common European Framework of Reference, it is at an A1 level into A2. Just to explain about the CEFR, this is a kind of ladder, a language learning ladder, as it were, and it starts at A1 for beginners, then A2, advanced beginners, or moving on from a beginner level, into B1 and 2, that would be a kind of intermediate level. And then by the time you're in C1 and 2, C1 and C2, and advanced and on to almost perfection or fluency or whatever. That's a very simplified version of the CEFR, obviously. But Season 1 is dealing with A1 content, moving on from A1 content into A2. And that gives you the chance to work through the season, work through the course, the 40 lessons, and build up to an A2 level within our courses. Now, In terms of the resources, first of all, we have our free podcast. And as I said earlier, I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the podcasts that we offer. We have them available on our website, obviously, in Spotify, in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere that you can get a podcast, Coffee Break Spanish will be available. But in addition to those audio lessons, those free audio lessons, we also offer our online course. And the online course offers much more. So yes, you get the audio lessons, obviously, organised in an easy way where you can download everything and so on. But you also get video lessons where you're seeing the words and phrases on the screen of your device. So whether you're working on a computer, a tablet, a phone, you will see the words and phrases full screen on your device, in order that you can see how they are written and see how the words are formed. And also sometimes see things like, when you take off a couple of letters from a word in order to add other letters, maybe you're forming a past participle, so you take off the AR of your infinitive and add on the past participle of ado. So we can show that on the screen with graphics and with sort of demonstrations and explanations and arrows and so on to help you understand how the language works. So it's more than just the words on the screen. You also get lesson notes, bonus audio lessons and quizzes within the online course. And I'm going to show you what all that looks like now. If our technology works here, hopefully you'll be able to see this. So here is Coffee Break Spanish Season 1, and this is what it looks like in the Coffee Break Academy. Everything's organised very clearly. You can see lesson 1, lesson 2 and so on, all the information there. And for each lesson, we provide the video, the audio, the notes and the bonus audio. So if we jump into one of these, let's go into ordering food in a restaurant here. So you can see that the lesson is 18 minutes long, so perfect for a coffee break, an extended coffee break. If we go into the lesson, the video lesson moves in. And we can start playing the video. Let me check that's okay. So if we start playing the video, you'll get a little introduction from me and then we'll begin the lesson. Hola y bienvenidos a Coffee Break Spanish. This is lesson 17, and in lesson 17 we're going to be asking for a table in a restaurant and dealing with some of the things that you need to in a restaurant situation. Now, lots of the language that you've already... Okay, so just a little introduction from me, and then we start to go into the lesson, and then you'll see the words and phrases appearing on the screen.
¿Hay un restaurante por aquí?
Sí, hay un restaurante cerca de aquí.
Muy bien.
Okay, so you can see as we work through the video, all the words and phrases appear, and if we're having a conversation or a dialogue...
Buenas tardes. ¿Tiene una mesa para dos, por favor?
Sí, un momento. ¿Fumadores o no fumadores?
No fumadores, por favor.
Okay, so you're listening there to me and to Cara, our learner. So we're having the conversation. Cara's learning the Spanish as I teach her. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept if you've listened to the Coffee Break Spanish podcasts. But throughout the video, you're getting all of the words and phrases on the screen, so you're seeing everything that we're teaching. You get access, obviously, to the audio lesson. You can download that. You get access to lesson notes, which explain everything in the lesson, and with any further explanations, and the conversations and so on, and the bonus audio as well. The bonus audio gives you the chance to develop things, to consolidate what you've learned within the lesson, because it takes things further. We go back through things and provide a different way of looking at the contents in the bonus audio. So you've got that for all 40 lessons. You've also got quizzes at the end of each 10 lessons, to test what you've learned, to help you test what you've learned. So those are the premium materials, the bonus materials for our online course for Season 1. Again, all of that is part of the course in the Coffee Break Academy for Season 1. Now, if we move on and take a look at Season 2, things continue in a similar way. So we obviously take things further, more practical situations. We are also looking now at an in-depth study of grammar. We really are getting into things in more depth and giving you the chance to develop your grammar, build your confidence in the grammar, and really focus on the words and phrases that you're learning and seeing how they can be manipulated to develop further. we're looking at a variety of tenses. So we'll be talking about things like past tenses in Spanish. Depending on what level you're at in Spanish, you may be familiar with the fact that in Spanish, we don't just have a kind of single past tense. We have multiple past tenses. So we may have the tense that you use for saying I have done something, then a different tense for saying I did something, and a different tense for I was doing something. So we're going to be looking at perfects and preterites and imperfects and seeing when you use each one of these tenses. So we'll be looking at all of this and learning again, crucially, to manipulate the language, to see how the language can be used, extending your knowledge. And there's also at the end of season 2 a kind of soap opera, a sort of radio play, as it were, where you are listening to different characters speak and use the language that we've covered within the series. For the season 2, we also again have a free podcast with audio lessons that you will be familiar with. But the online course again provides these audio lessons, video lessons with the words on screen, lesson notes, bonus audio lessons and quizzes. So once again, let's take a quick look at what this looks like in the Coffee Break Academy. Here we have the materials for season 2, so you can see more in the present tense, making arrangements, using the correct word, the correct version for the verb to be. So that's ser and estar, which again I'm sure you're familiar with if you've been learning Spanish for any length of time. So we go into this lesson, and once again the lesson plays. I'll just skip forward.
Ready. At this moment in time, en este momento, estoy lista. Well, you would say estoy lista. I would say estoy listo. It's a temporary condition. Let's think of other temporary conditions in which we'd use es.
So again, the words will appear on the screen of your device as you go through the lesson, and so on. We've got the audio version. We've got the lesson notes. Again, everything explained with further examples, nice clear explanations. If you're a visual learner that likes to sit down and read things, and perhaps you can do this in different ways, obviously, use the bonus audio to consolidate what you've learned. Some people like to start with the lesson notes and read them, then listen to the audio. Some people prefer to listen to the audio first and then use the video version to consolidate things. Other people prefer to use the video version first and then maybe listen again to the audio out for a walk or something like that. So it's entirely up to you. You can use this in the way that works best for you. Everyone's different in terms of how they like to learn. So that is season 2, our materials for season 2. And season 2 will be working at A2 and to B1 level by the time you get to the end of season 2. So far we've looked at seasons 1 and season 2. Now I realise we do have a number of questions, so I'm going to deal with these questions now. Some of the questions I may be covering the answers to these questions a little later in the plan, in the presentation, but we'll see how we go. Let me see. Okay, Neil is nearby, and Neil's asking, what language are you learning at the moment? Well, actually, recently I've been learning some Greek. We've all been learning a different language over the course of November here in the team, and that's my choice. I've been learning some Greek, so Efcharistopoli. Let's see, another question here. Are the premium courses able to be used offline? Yes, absolutely. So when we were looking at the Coffee Break Academy there, you saw that all the elements had a download button. So you can download all the contents to your own device. You can store them on your computer and your phone and your tablet, so you can have it on multiple devices. So I hope that answers your question, Squire Fong. Meyer is asking, can the dialogues be printed? Yes, so the lesson notes, if I just take you back to the lesson notes there, if we go into a set of lesson notes, so you'll see here, this is a PDF viewer within the website. But if you go down to the bottom, you can click on the download button here. This will download to your computer, and then you can print it out. Lots of people collect these into binders and have their notes all together like that. So it's very possible to print the lessons. What have we got? Vistas hermosas, fotos y vídeos. Is there going to be an actual CBS English course? I'm a CBS Masterclass Spanish student married to a Colombiana. Well, actually, there is. There's going to be lots more content coming for Coffee Break English coming soon. In fact, we should be having lesson 11 out tomorrow. So hopefully that answers your question. Tammy is asking, how could we find opportunities to converse with others as we learn? Well, within our courses, we have a discussion area where on all of the lessons, so you can ask questions, you can indeed, as it were, discuss things with your fellow learners. We don't, our company does not provide a system whereby you can join classes or anything like that. There are other systems out there for doing that. Organisations like italki can provide you with native speakers and teachers to interact with. But that's not something that we do. So we can't really answer that. Well, we can answer the question, but we can't really provide what you're looking for, Tammy. So I hope that you can nonetheless use the courses. So JP is actually suggesting there's a good app called HelloTalk. A lot of users from South America looking to do an intercambio. Good for practicing your stuff from Coffee Break Spanish. So again, we wouldn't necessarily recommend one system over another because we would want to make sure that people can make their own minds up about different resources. So hopefully that helps you, Tammy, and thank you, JP, for the suggestion. Let me have a look at what Dimitri's asking here. And this is a long question. I'd love to buy all Spanish courses at once, but need to split this between this and next year. I'm targeting CBS 1 to maybe 3. I already have magazine season 1. During the study of CBS 1 and 2 and 3, would I miss too much this year if I postpone En Marcha, Los Expresos and the Two Goes till next year? Yeah, I would say don't do too much at once. I think that you are probably better focusing on CBS 1 and 2 and then doing the other courses, which I'm going to explain in a moment, before you move on to 3. En Marcha can come after 3 before you move on to 4. Again, I'm going to be explaining all of this, so those of you who aren't familiar with all our sort of intermediate courses, I'm just about to start explaining them. So Dimitri, hopefully as we move forward, this will be helpful to you. So let me see. L. Evans is asking, is there an online test you can take to assess which season you should jump in with? Not yet. Something we're working on, but hopefully, as I say, as you're watching this will help you get an idea of the levels. I should also say that all of our audio content is available for free. So you can listen to the audio content and see, okay, is this the right level for me? And because that will give you a very good idea of as to what kind of content we're talking about in each lesson. Okay. JP is asking, is the content timed? Do you lose access after 1 year, for example? Nope. When you buy a course, you've got access to that for as long as you need it. You can download it to your own devices and keep it indefinitely. There is no problem with that whatsoever. Sandeep is asking a very specific question. Any tips for clearing the Delhi B1 and B2 tests? Not something that we can cover within this session. I'm sorry, Sandeep, but we would definitely. There is lots of content on our Facebook page where we do lots of learners are working towards daily tests. So hopefully that will be useful to you there. And Mark is asking, is this Latin American or Castilian Spanish? A good question. First of all, my question to you is, can you understand what I am saying? I speak English with a Scottish accent. My English that I use every so often contains words which are quite Scottish. I would say wee rather than small, but I guess you're probably still going to understand me if I say it's a wee bit tricky as opposed to it's a little bit tricky or something like that. So if you can understand me speaking in my Scottish English, then even if you're from Argentina, you will understand a Spanish speaker from Spain. If you are from Cordoba in the south of Spain, then you will understand a Spanish speaker from Mexico and so on. Of course, there are regional differences. But what we try to do throughout Coffee Break Spanish is be as open as possible to lots of different types of Spanish when there's a very common word, which is one particular, for example, the word coche. The word for car in Spain would be coche, but in Mexico it would be carro. So we mention that when we're talking, and when we're talking about, for example, juice, an orange juice in Spain, that would be un zumo de naranja, un jugo de naranja in most of Latin America. But it's difficult to say all Castilian Spanish is the same and all Latin American Spanish is the same, because we can't really group everything in Latin America together. A speaker from Mexico will speak differently from a speaker from Argentina. A speaker from Venezuela will have a different accent from a Chileno. So there are so many different types of Spanish, but there is a standard Spanish. There are different pronunciations, just as there are in English, but we can still understand each other. I was having a conversation last week with someone from Argentina. We understood each other perfectly, and it's the richness of the language, because when the other speaker said a particular word, I thought, oh, I don't know that word. Can you explain that to me? But we get by, we understand each other. So I think that's really, really important that we understand that Latin American Spanish, first of all, does not exist. There is no Latin American Spanish. There are many types of Latin American Spanish. Yes, there are things that lots of speakers in Latin America do similarly. For example, zapato, with a sound for a Z. I would say zapato, because I've studied and lived in Spain, because we pronounce a Z with a th sound. But once you get over that, and you get over that very, very quickly, then there's no issue whatsoever. So throughout our courses, we introduce different voices. We have different people from different countries. At the beginning, right at the beginning of Coffee Break Spanish Season 1, we focus on one accent. And that is the Spain Spanish accent, as it were, a kind of standard Spain Spanish accent. But already by lesson 5 or 6, we're introducing different ideas about different ways in which certain words are used in different parts of Spain. So I hope that explains where we're starting with this, Mark. Thank you for your question. It is a very common question we do get asked. Ken's asking, do you have CFR levels on all your courses, including the magazine travel diaries? Yes, well, we don't, they're not sort of plastered all over the courses, but I'm going to be showing you that just now. So I'm just going to move on to that in a moment. And Dave is asking a question that refers to our more advanced courses, so I'm going to wait and talk about that when we get to our more advanced courses. Thank you for your question, and I do appreciate you putting the word question in front of them, because it helps me see those in the comments. Let's move on then and talk about what happens after this first stage. We've done Season 1 and Season 2. And I always think when you're learning a language, you start learning a language, and the minute you start, you feel, oh, wow, I'm making progress. I'm learning new things. I'm learning new concepts, and these ideas that I'm taking on board, they're completely new, you know. First of all, grammar. First of all, gender. You know, how do we talk about? Why do we talk about una mesa and un lápiz? One is feminine, one is masculine. So you're taking on all these ideas, and you're moving forward, and you're building on what you've learned. But you do move forward in quite a steady way when you start to learn a language. I always think it's a little bit like walking through a path in the forest. When you've got the dark forest on either side, and you could go off the path, but it's a little bit scary, it's a little bit dark, there's a little bit of the unknown there, so you keep walking forward, and you can see the sort of light at the end of the path as the forest opens out. When you get to that point, and the forest does open out, all of a sudden you see all these new paths that you can go down, and basically because each of those paths seem interesting, you end up going down them, discovering new things, and then coming back to the main path. But of course that means that your main path progress gets slower. So you can't keep going forward at the same rate. You go forward at a slower rate, you're always going forward, but you do go down each of these paths, and every time you go down a path, you discover something new. So you get access to new vocabulary. You discover another use of a particular grammar term that you've come across. You discover a new expression or an idiomatic expression or something like that. And that's where all the richness of language learning comes, when you go down each one of these paths, come back to your main path, and move along a little bit further. So this intermediate level, this is where I see the sort of the fields of B1 and B2. So if we're thinking in a CEFR level, and in this part, this is when it really is exciting, because what you need is to investigate each one of those paths. And that's why we've got a range of materials that are addressing that level of learner at an intermediate level. So let's look at some of these. First of all, our magazine. The Coffee Break Spanish magazine. We actually started the Coffee Break Spanish magazine years and years ago, and it was a slightly different product back then. It was based around video content and idiomatic expressions and so on. And more recently, we have launched a magazine in our French, Italian and German series. And so we've brought the Spanish magazine into line with that. So I'm going to show you two different things here. Basically, with the magazine, you're consolidating the language that you've learned. You're building the understanding of grammar. You get new vocabulary in different ways, and you're developing a cultural awareness. And as I said, we've got two different concepts here. We've got seasons 1 and 2 of the magazine, and we've also got season 3 of the magazine. So let me show you what these look like. If I come over to my browser here. In Coffee Break Spanish magazine, season 1 and season 2, this is where we're looking at audio lessons, video lessons, and lesson notes. So the video lessons are based around interviews that we have filmed in various places. So if we jump in here, let's go to lesson 7. I have no idea what this one's about. So we've got a series of interviews. So this is our video lesson. Let's have a quick look at these.
Buenas, Marc. La pregunta de hoy es, ¿ayer hiciste algo especial?
So this week's question is, ¿Ayer hiciste algo especial? Yesterday, did you do something special? Hiciste is the preterite tense from the verb hacer. Of course, in Latin America, that would sound like hiciste. ¿Ayer hiciste algo especial? Did you do anything special yesterday?
Sí, quedé con mi novia y fuimos a cenar a un restaurante.
Lo más especial que hice fue improvisar tocando la guitarra.
Sí, fui con mi marido a un concierto de Bruce Springsteen.
Ayer fui a un concierto de música de un grupo de rap cubano que se llama Los Aldeanos.
Ayer salimos a caminar por Barcelona con mis otros 2 amigos chilenos. Fuimos a la Barceloneta, hacía mucho frío, mucho viento.
Okay, I'll just stop that there. So you're seeing that these interviews we're talking with lots of people with lots of different accents. We happen to be filming this in Barcelona, but obviously we were speaking to people from all around the Spanish-speaking world. So that is the video element to this course. And now if we just go back, we'll see that the audio element takes a discussion of all these answers. So if we have a look at the notes here for this, you'll see that each answer is given. So, quedé con mi novia y fuimos a cenar a un restaurante. So we've got an explanation of this. Then interview 2, lo más especial, improvisar, tocando la guitarra. Everything is explained in this. So that's one element. There's also another part, and where we're talking about using the verb quedar. So an explanation of how quedar works and so on. And we also provide bonus audio information as well for some of the lessons too. So in the audio materials, we discuss all of the interviews and make everything hopefully clear for everyone. So this is Coffee Break Spanish magazine season 1 and 2. And in each episode, we're asking a different question. If you're familiar with our more recent Coffee Break Spanish to Go series, it's a little bit similar. We have Alba asking the questions. Alba we worked with in season 3, and the questions are being answered by different native speakers. So hopefully that explains things for Coffee Break Spanish magazine seasons 1 and 2. Coffee Break Spanish magazine season 3 is a little bit different. There we're talking about cultural texts from the Spanish-speaking world. So really all across the Spanish-speaking world, beginning with an episode about el fútbol en el corazón de todos los latinos. So we've got our audio lesson there. And the everything is transcribed. So we've got a full explanation of everything, the study text, with vocabulary and explanations and any other information that's required. We also provide for season 3 a vocabulary list. So we've got Spanish to English, and then we've also got the same from English to Spanish. So you can cover up one side and test your understanding of the words that you've learned from the episode, and then go back and do it the other way around from Spanish into English or English into Spanish. And we also provide exercises for each of the episodes. So these could be gap-filling exercises, translation exercises. It depends on the content. So the key thing about this in Spanish Magazine Season 3 is about culture and developing your cultural awareness. When you're learning a language, so much of the language is dependent on the culture. So things enter the language from the culture of the many, many places where the language is spoken. And that is obviously one of the most rich elements of speaking that language, because you understand the culture, and by understanding the culture, you're getting a greater understanding of the language, the words and phrases in the language, because of the culture that is behind the language. So that's one of the key focuses of the Coffee Break Spanish magazine. And as I said, I think we've got this here. Yep. So the magazine is at A2 B1 level, depending on which season of the magazine you're working on. Hopefully that explains our 3 series of the Coffee Break Spanish magazine. If you happen just to be joining us, then you may be wondering why we're talking through all of our courses. In this session, we're really explaining everything about the whole range of Coffee Break Spanish courses in our online course website, the Coffee Break Academy. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that this is useful to you. Let's look on, because we have got another set of materials here that are at a similar level, again A2B1, and that is our travel diaries. We launched our travel diaries earlier this year, basically because it became very obvious very quickly that travel was not going to be something that any of us were going to be doing this year, unfortunately. And we thought, well, why not do a little bit of virtual travelling? So we launched the travel diaries in French, German, Spanish and Italian this year. And for our Spanish travel diaries, season 1, we joined Victoria and Abel on their honeymoon in the north of Spain. So we travelled through different places in the north of Spain, again, learning about the places, learning about what is there, and also following the story of Victoria and Abel as they visited Victoria and Abel as they visited the different parts of a beautiful part of the north of Spain, Santillana del Mar, Llanes, Santiago de Compostela, all these different places around the north of Spain. So lots of interesting stuff in there. Let's take a look at the travel diaries on our website. So here are the travel diaries. So we start in San Sebastián, then Guernica, Bilbao, Cantabria, Santillana del Mar, as I said. So if we jump into one of these, let's go to La Costa Norte. Into here, we've got the audio. So once again, we can download that audio, and the lesson notes contain everything that we need. So there's the actual text. This is Victoria's diary that we're following. And then everything is explained. So tanto Abel como yo, both Abel and I. So the expression tanto como is used for comparisons of equality. So we give some further examples of that. Estamos cansados de, to be tired of doing something. Estar cansado de hacer algo. And madrugar, a lovely word, I love that word. So madrugar means to get up early. It also means to stay up late. If you're partying until the madrugada, then you're staying up into the early hours, the wee small hours of the morning. So those are our lesson notes for the travel diaries. But we also provide something else in the travel diaries, and this is something that, with our live lessons, became very popular in the actual live lessons. I'm just double checking something here. So in the live lessons that we were doing, very often people were saying that they were enjoying reading after us. So when we were reading a text, we would read the phrase, or the native speaker would read the phrase, and we left a space for you to repeat. So if I come back here to this, I'm hoping that you're seeing this. If there is a problem with what you're seeing, do let me know. I'm thinking that it should be okay. So basically, when we play the pronunciation practice video,
Creo que tanto Abel como yo estábamos cansados de madrugar.
So we would repeat, creo que tanto Abel como yo estábamos cansados de madrugar.
Nos estaba encantando el viaje, pero no dormíamos lo suficiente.
Nos estaba encantando el viaje, pero no dormíamos lo suficiente. So you get the idea there. Basically, you are listening to what you're seeing and then reading it out. Not just trying to focus on the pronunciation, but also trying to focus on the intonation and the pitch, the variation of pitch that the native speaker uses in this travel diary. So That's been very popular, the video pronunciation practice for our travel diaries. So we're looking at travel diaries here. This again, A2, B1 level, an intermediate level where you're using the language to develop your awareness of everything that happens there. Moving on, we've got another course that many of you may be familiar with, and that is our reading club. Now, the Coffee Break Spanish Reading Club provides weekly texts for 1 year. You will be using the text, reading the text, cultural texts, again, building your reading skills, also building your listening skills, because we provide an audio version of each of the texts too. You will be developing your cultural awareness through this range of texts, and within the online course, built at an A2 level, within the online course, we've got the texts and vocabulary, the audio versions featuring a slow and a normal speed version, and the exercises. So I think I've got this up here to show you. Yep, so here's the Coffee Break Spanish Reading Club, and you can see we've got 52 texts based on the combination of Spanish focus and also a Latin American focus. So if we jump into Conoces a Gabriel García Márquez, I'm saying Gabriel García Márquez, that sounds a little strange to say, it should be in a Colombian accent, Gabriel García Márquez. So if we jump into here, we've got the text about Gabriel García Márquez, and then text and vocabulary, so there's vocabulary there, and the answers for the comprehension. So 52 texts on a whole range of different topics within the Coffee Break Spanish Reading Club. So those are our range of materials that we would recommend that you do in between seasons 2 and 3 of Coffee Break Spanish. And I know that one of our viewers was asking about that earlier, so I hope that gives a little bit of an idea as to where these courses come in comparison to our main courses. Let's move on and look at our next main course, which would be Season 3. So Season 3 is a little bit different. We actually, when we first launched Season 3, we called it Showtime Spanish in the beginning. But then we sort of converted that into Coffee Break Spanish Season 3 as we wanted to continue the Coffee Break Spanish idea. And within Season 3, we've got authentic conversations between me as a non-native speaker but fluent speaker of Spanish, and Alba, a native speaker from Spain. And in the later lessons of this course, we also have a number of other speakers from different parts of the Spanish-speaking world. Now, each of the conversations is about an interesting topic, so you get that, and then you also look at the grammar in there. So if we've talked about, can't think of an example off the top of my head, we'll look at the examples in a moment, but whatever we talk about, we then discuss the way in which we talked about it and look at the phrases that we use to express opinions, the phrases that we use to basically talk about the subject that we were discussing. There is also something that goes through the whole of Season 3, and that's a soap opera that happens every 5th lesson. It's called Verano Español, and it's a soap opera where we're kind of following the story of a girl who goes to Spain for the summer, and she gets to know her extended family and so on. I won't spoil the story for you. But the crucial thing with this is the grammar that we've seen, for example, in lessons 1 to 4, some idiomatic expressions, some interesting grammar materials there, that naturally comes up in the script of the soap opera in lesson 5. So you've learned it in one context, and then you're consolidating it in a different context. So it's the kind of spaced repetition where you're getting it again just at the right point. And then the materials that we cover in lessons 6 to 9 will then naturally come up in lesson 10, which is the second episode of Verano Español. I think this probably will make more sense if we look at the examples here, but what we're looking at is constant consolidation of the language that you're learning just at the right time. So if we go to this for Spanish Season 3, you'll see here, so meet Mark, Alba and Jose and a tongue twister. So the 3 presenters, myself, Alba and Jose, and we also have a tongue twister to look at there for our intermedio, because Jose provides our interval in each episode. So progressive tenses using estar and the gerund, Spanish Halloween, reflexive verbs, the pluperfect tense and the subjunctive, and different topics there. So let's jump into here. We've got the main audio content there. We can download that again. We can have a look at the notes here. So a full transcript once again with explanations and vocabulary. And there's our conversation. Sometimes it's just about what we have been working on. In this case, we were in London talking about that. And we have this natural conversation. and then we have a resume of the conversation. Then we've got our intermedio, and then we've got the language notes where we explain exactly what happened in the conversation and that we talk about the phrases that were used. Now, then some of these words and phrases will appear in our episode of Verano Español. So if we jump to the script of this, here is Verano Español. In fact, I'll jump on a little bit where the conversation develops. So in this case, we've got Laura, who is half Spanish, half Scottish. So that's why some of this is in English in the early episode to tell the story, as it were. But when she gets to Spain, obviously she's speaking in Spanish. And if we jump to lesson 10, that's our next episode of Verano Español. We'll see that here we've got Laura and Estela talking. And so the words and phrases that are coming up there are things that we've covered in lessons 6 to 9. So hopefully that all makes sense for season 3 of Coffee Break Spanish, or Showtime Spanish as it used to be known. Some of you may have listened to the episodes of Showtime, and therefore we're getting all the bonus materials there for that series. Now, at this point, we are really working on a B1, B2 level of Spanish, and some of the contents in Season 3 really do push you, so they're quite challenging, some of the conversations, and as I said, in some of the lessons, we're also looking at, we've got presenters from different parts of the Spanish-speaking world, so you're really getting a range of input in Season 3. The other course that we have at this level is called En Marcha, and En Marcha is a very different course. It is a 10-lesson course, but in each lesson there's a lot of material. So we're talking about authentic conversations again, looking at language study, but we're learning about people and places through the medium of the Spanish language. Again, B1, B2 level, and here we've got text and vocabulary, we've got audio versions, we've got exercises for the online course. Let me jump into En Marcha here. I think I've got it here. Let me see. Yep, so here is En Marcha. So En Marcha was recorded and filmed in the south of Spain, in the area around Malaga, and we have episodes about different topics around this area. So, for example, we head to Cordoba for one of the episodes, a beautiful city, and we can see here that we've got the actual podcast there. So this is the podcast that you may already have heard, but there's a full transcript provided with any vocabulary given. And a little scene setting in English, and then we're hearing, for example, even the train announcement is transcribed there, so you're hearing exactly how the whole the language works in this very practical way. So I have a number of conversations with different people in Cordoba, and we have transcripts of all of these. We then also provide a language study episode where we're talking about in this case, the formal language used in announcements, the many uses of the word se, and the many uses of the word lo. So these are different elements that we can study within the based on what we've heard in the interviews. We provide vocabulary lists, again, from Spanish into English and English into Spanish. There's an activity pack for the materials, so comprehension, less exercises there, activities based around culture. There is a huge amount of information there, even puzzles and so on. In each episode then we also have some bonus audio, so we've got some dichos, some sayings, and then a bonus video in this particular lesson. So this bonus video is
Hola a todos, estamos en el tren y vamos a Córdoba y estoy con Flora.
So we have got the video here of our trip to Cordoba, so you get a little feel for what the whole experience was like. And so there's video content, there's audio content.
We are here at something of an institution in Cordoba. This is the place where you can buy the largest tortilla in the world. Hola, señor, ¿qué tal?
Buenos días, ¿qué tal? Este establecimiento pues lleva 52 años abierto, lo abrió mi tío, ¿vale? Y pues nos dedicamos sobre todo a vender tortillas, que es nuestra especialidad. Tenemos muchas tapas, pero la especialidad nuestra es la tortilla española.
So their especialidad is la tortilla español. And we get to taste it. Unfortunately, you don't get to taste it as part of the course, but you'll need to go to Cordoba to taste it. And it was very good, I have to say. So that is En Marcha, a different course that comes around between seasons 3 and 4 in terms of difficulty. And then we move on to season 4, where we're really talking at B2, C1 level, story-based learning, because the whole thing is based around a story that takes place in Mallorca, in the island of Mallorca. And we have got different characters in this story. And we have a Spanish person, we have an Argentinian main character, so a different accent again. But you're following a story which involves hidden treasure. I'll say no more, but there's some hidden treasure in this, and it's a great story which takes the 40 lessons. And in this course, you'll be experiencing different types of Spanish, from the colloquial Spanish that the speakers are using to each other in the conversations that they have, to an older form of Spanish, because they discover some letters which were written by their grandparents. And there's also some journalistic Spanish in there with news articles and so on. So lots of different types of language built into this story. And you can follow the story of season 4, but it is built at a high level of Spanish deliberately to allow you to really work on your grammar, really develop a range of vocabulary and build your sense of idiomatic expressions. Let's take a quick look at season 4. I have this here. Press that button. There we go. So season 4 organised in each lesson has the extended audio version. So this is different from the podcast. The podcast for season 4 is a short episode, around 6 or 7 minutes. These episodes will be much longer. So if we jump into lesson 5 here, if I start playing this, we'll just get a feel for how long that is. Should start playing any minute.
Coffee Break Spanish, Season 4, Episode 5.
So you can see there it's 42 minutes long, so quite an extensive bit of audio there. But of course we provide a full transcript of everything in the episode, again with any vocabulary explained there in the little panels on the side. So this particular episode is based on a letter. So we would hear that letter, we would hear the audio of that letter within the audio, and then in this case Carmen and I discuss what was said. A little bit of English for framing the content, and explanations of further examples and so on. And then we also allow you to practice the words and phrases that you've learned by using some audio translations. And the idea here is that based on a particular phrase that we've covered in the episode, we will then challenge you. And during the audio, you will give you some time to think about this with a translation. So you'll hear a phrase in English and you've got to put that into Spanish based on what you've learned in the audio. So that is, we give you time and then we explain the answer to those translation challenges. So that is season 4 of our Coffee Break Spanish course. Now, I'll just check to see what we've got in terms of questions coming in. Dave was asking, I've learned bits and pieces over the years and have completed Masterclass En Marcha and recently season 4, but I feel I need to refresh in areas. What would you recommend? So we've got different types of courses. Dave mentioned the Masterclass. We've not got a Masterclass running at the moment. We will have another Masterclass in the new year. It won't be in January. We're just finalising the decisions as to when that's going to be running. But there will be another Masterclass starting in the new year. I would say, Dave, one of the things I would suggest that the Masterclass is very much organised. It's a very structured course. So that is a good place to start in terms of reviewing content. So if you were to review the Masterclass, maybe pick up on some of the contents in some of the magazines, for example. That gives you the chance to review some of the vocabulary, get lots of access to the different speakers in different accents and so on in seasons 1 and 2 of the magazine. And then also look at En Marcha, because with En Marcha you've got so much variety. It's a really good thing to listen to again, perhaps while you're at a walk or a run, because you've heard it already, and the balance of English and Spanish in it makes sure that you're hearing different content and you're basically able to review the materials in an effective way. So I hope that answers your question. Yasso is asking, do you think grammar is essential for starters? If you're at the absolute early stages of a language, I don't necessarily think that having a grammar book and working through that is necessarily the right way to go. I would say with something like Coffee Break Spanish Season 1, we introduce the grammar very gradually, so you'll pick up that as you go along. And where there is an important element of grammar, we would include an explanation of that with details and examples and so on. So at that stage, probably not. At a later stage, yes, it's very useful to have some kind of reference book where you can go back to it and watch and read that. Linda is asking, can you sign up for magazine 1 and 2 together? I have to be honest, I can't remember if we've got a bundle for seasons 1 and 2 of the magazine. If we do, it won't be as cheap as using the coupon code for Black Friday, if that makes sense. I don't honestly know. I can't quite remember whether we do have a bundle for seasons 1 and 2 of the magazine. I know that we don't have a bundle for seasons 1, 2 and 3 of the magazine. There might be some kind of bundle for seasons 1 and 2. I can't remember. Yasu saying, Coffee Break Spanish, my best source for learning Spanish. Muchísimas gracias, Yasu. Thank you. Tamian is saying, thank you, this is so helpful, and thank you for taking the time to answer my question. No problem at all, we're delighted to answer any questions. Looking forward to continue my Spanish learner, a false beginner. Thank you and take care. No problem. Excellent. So as I was saying, can't wait to reach this level. I'm a beginner still. No problem. And I'm just getting a message from the team saying there's no bundle for the magazines. The best way to buy that is using the coupon code, which I'm just going to tell you about in a moment. But there's one other thing I want to mention, one other Spanish course that we have. And that is a slightly different course because it is a Spanish course for younger learners. It's called High Five Spanish, and High Five Spanish is the story of Sophie, who is the little girl in the middle there, and she goes off to Spain and learns Spanish with her two friends, Marina and Miguel, her friends on either side of her there. So let's jump into the Coffee Break Academy and have a look at what High Five Spanish looks like. Basically, it's made up of video lessons. So the video lessons tell the story of Sophie learning Spanish. Let's just jump in here where with episode 1. So what's she learning in this one? Some basic greetings. So basically, if you have got younger learners in your family who would be interested in learning Spanish alongside you, then this is the ideal scenario, because ultimately what we have here is the same scenario as we have in Coffee Break Spanish, where Cara, as a learner, is learning with me as our teacher. But here we've got the perfect scenario because we've got Sophie, who's a younger learner, just like the younger learners that you may have in your household, who's learning with teachers of the same age. So Sophie is learning with Marina and Miguel. Let me show you the video and you'll get an idea as to what I mean.
Hola y bienvenidos a High Five Spanish.
Hello and welcome to High Five Spanish. My name is Sophie.
Y yo soy Marina.
Marina is helping me to learn some Spanish.
What do you want to learn today, Sophie?
Well, I think since this is the first lesson, I should learn how to say hello and goodbye. And you can all learn with me.
Vale, muy buena idea. Venga, vamos a empezar.
So, how would I say hello in Spanish?
Hello is hola.
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 Hola. Okay, everyone, let's try saying that together. In every episode of High Five Spanish, we'll learn...
I had my mute button on, sorry. You get the idea that Sophie is learning then with Marina and Miguel, and there are different situations where they're out and about. They're at home learning in the garden, but they're also out and about in different places and so on. Each episode has a video lesson, a radio show. We have vocabulary lists. We have activity sheets where you can print these out and complete them and so on. There are challenges, and crucially, there are also notes for parents. So perhaps if you have got younger learners in your household wanting to learn Spanish, then you can use the notes for parents to help you provide the answers that they may need. and also a transcript of all of the lessons here, where once again we include all the vocabulary and explanations for everything that you would need to know. So that's High Five Spanish, specifically for younger learners, and it's available within the Coffee Break Academy too. Okay. The reason that we are doing all of this at the moment is, of course, that we have our Black Friday sale currently on. So at the moment, it's possible to save 40% on all of our courses using the coupon code BF2020. And it is really the perfect time to make a start on your Spanish learning or take the next step with your Spanish learning. We've got some questions coming in, and we've also got some questions that we've had by email that I've promised to answer within this session. So let me just first of all address your questions that are coming in. Don saying, thank you for the Black Friday coupon. Now we'll continue season 3. Excellent. Muy bien. Muchas gracias. Asma is saying, I'm going there High Five, but not open. It's still available. Yeah, you can find High Five on the Coffee Break Academy. It's not listed on our main Black Friday page, but if you go to coffeebreakacademy.com, you'll find, just click on more at the bottom and you'll see High Five there. Perhaps someone on the team could send the direct link for the bundle of High Five to Asma there on YouTube. That would be great. Susan is asking, I'm learning Spanish in a class and enjoy listening to Coffee Break Spanish. Would like to sign up for the magazine and as an addition to see how it goes. Good idea. I look forward to getting a Black Friday code. Yes, Susan, absolutely. A great idea to look at the magazine. If you're used to listening to Coffee Break Spanish rather, then you'll be familiar with our style. And with the magazine, it will give you a way to practice that. I should explain, just to be absolutely clear, the magazine is not a physical magazine. It's a magazine audio course. So that's why we called it the magazine, because it includes different topics within the one episode. So it's an audio course with obviously the text to back you up there as well. So yes, definitely a good idea. And the Black Friday code is there on the screen, BF2020. You need to use that at checkout. Gail's asking, how do I find out the content for Coffee Break Spanish season session 1, please? So we actually covered session 1, or season 1 rather, a little earlier, so I can just jump back here. But it's basically for absolute beginners, and it goes through transactional language, the practical language for travel, grammar of Spanish, introduction, and so on. So hopefully that answers your question. Sorry, I'm not going through that in more detail now, Gail. You can certainly watch back the beginning of this session, and that should help you find out more about season 1. And you can also access our webinar. We've produced a webinar which is linked to on the page that I'm going to put on the screen now. So radiolingua.com/BF2020, that will take you to our main page for the Black Friday sale. And there's a webinar which explains all of our content in detail in a kind of more succinct form than we've been doing this afternoon. We've been interspersing things with questions. But you can definitely check the webinar there if you want to find out more about each of the course. Mark is asking, does this course have a language recognition component to make sure we are speaking the words and phrases correctly? No, that's not something that we provide. It's not something that is possible within the Coffee Break Academy. That would involve some kind of interactive element, some kind of app or something like that. That's not something that we provide. We provide self-access materials that you can then use. What you can do, and what many learners do is sign up for some kind of online speaking with a native speaker. Someone mentioned italki earlier, so you can sign up for a session with a native speaker or a teacher, and then you can use the materials that you've been working on your own with Coffee Break, and then use them with your teacher to check your pronunciation and check your responses and so on. But actual interaction and sort of automated interaction and multimedia or interactive elements, basically, where we are checking your pronunciation or anything like that, that's not possible with our content. So hopefully that answers your question. Gail's saying, perhaps I need season 2. Again, all of the materials with each of the episodes are explained. You'll see on each of the courses there is an outline of everything, and you'll be able to see all of that on the Coffee Break Academy. Amanda saying, I'm not a complete beginner, so how do I find out which course is right for me? Well, this is the purpose of this session, that we've been trying to work through all of the courses here to give you an understanding of where the range of materials go with Coffee Break Spanish. If you're not a complete beginner, the question I would have is, how confident do you feel about the basic elements of grammar? Can you conjugate regular verbs? Can you talk in the present tense? Can you use the imperfect? Can you use the preterite and so on? If any of that is, if you're thinking, whoa, no, I can't, definitely don't start after season 2. You must do season 2. If you're very confident with ordering coffees and dealing with practical situations and checking into hotels, using adjectives in different ways, if you're very confident with all of that, then you probably don't need to do season 1. But I would definitely say do season 2. Season 2 is where we really get into the grammar, where we try to build that very strong, solid foundation. And it's the course that really makes a difference, from going from very conversational, practical Spanish, where you can get by, you might be making mistakes, but we want to tighten that up before you move any further, because you really need to tighten things up before you move on from that level. Okay, Dawn has a question here. Is Cara, the student in season 1, still with her Spanish boyfriend? I hope so. She was an awesome student for all of us beginners. Cara is not with her Spanish boyfriend. Cara is now married to a German guy called Thomas, and in fact, Cara's husband Thomas is Thomas from Coffee Break German. So we worked with Thomas for Coffee Break German, and Cara and Thomas now have a lovely little bilingual baby boy. So I hope that answers your question, Dawn. Okay, let's come to some of the questions that we've had by email. I'll just leave that address up there, because that is where you can find everything. But one of the questions that we've had many times is, can I buy season 5 or season 6 or some other product that is not yet available? And the answer is no. There is no way that you can buy a future product just during the sale. That's not possible. We don't release things until they're ready. So there's no way you can buy season 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or anything like that, unfortunately. Another question, we've actually talked about this, Spain or Latin American Spanish. Well, as I said earlier, I don't really see a Spain Spanish and a Latin American Spanish, because there are many different types of Spanish. Someone from the north of Spain speaking to someone from the south of Spain, or the Canary Islands, for example, can sometimes have quite a difficult job understanding both of those accents. But what we try to do is provide the middle ground where you can understand both, and they will both understand you. So although we in the early lessons do speak with a Spain Spanish accent, we also introduce the words and phrases where there is a key thing that changes between Spain and Latin American Spanish. Again, it's like the equivalent of UK English and US English. If I said US English to an American, they would say, yeah, but where do you mean? Do you mean Midwestern? Do you mean Pacific? Do you mean Floridan or whatever? And even in the UK, a much smaller country, but we've got very different accents, from the north of Scotland to the south of England and Northern Ireland and everything else in between. So we teach Spanish. The Spanish that you learn will be understood throughout the Spanish-speaking world. Another question, how do I use the code? That's a very good question. Let me just show you this, because I should be able to do that here. Let me open a new window. Okay, so there we go. I'll just get rid of these messages. Okay, so on the Coffee Break Academy, let's say we want to sign up for in fact, let me just do this more easily. If I go here and select Coffee Break Spanish, let's say I want to sign up for season 2 of Coffee Break Spanish. So I click on this, click on sign up for the course, and then it takes me down to the bottom where I see the pricing. Now the pricing here is showing to me in GBP, in pound sterling, or in US dollars. Now this is very important. I'm based in the UK. I am in the UK at the moment. We pay European VAT, so we have VAT already shown in that price. So when I see that price, I'm seeing £96 or $124.80. But if you're in the US, you will not see that price with VAT. If you are in Hungary, you will see it with Hungarian VAT. If you're in France, you'll see it with French VAT. The VAT rate will change in different EU countries. But if you're anywhere else in the world, you will not see the price with VAT on that. So I'll go with a GBP price. I'll click on sign up for the course. And then I get taken to the checkout page. I'll just make this a little larger so that we can see what's going on here. So, order summary, Coffee Break Spanish Season 2, the base price is £80. There's £16 VAT for me because I'm in the UK again. So the total amount there is £96. So that's one payment of £96 for the whole of Season 2. So that's all 40 lessons of Season 2. It's not a recurring payment, it's a single one-off payment. But crucially, I need to click here to add coupon. So you need to click on that link, then you need to enter BF 2020. And this is very crucial as well. You need to click on the apply button. If you don't click on the apply button, it will not take the coupon off. So if you click apply, now you'll see that you've got a reduction of £32 on there. We still need to add VAT. So the total that you're paying, rather than £96, is £57.60. Now, just on the website, we have had a few people contacting us saying, can you refund me because I didn't use the code? It's much better if you can use the code when you're checking out, and just don't get excited and put in the code but forget to press apply. You must click apply in order to use the code and in order to get the money off. Can you use the code more than once? Yes, you can. You can use it as many times as you want. One thing to say is that we don't have a shopping cart system. The way the course site works is you buy one course and you pay for that course. And if you want to buy another one, then you buy the second one and you pay for that second course. Now, you just need to remember to put in the coupon code each time. So each time you're buying something, put in the coupon code. Let's see what other questions. So is it a one-off payment? We've already talked about that. It is a single, all the courses we've talked about today are a single payment and you pay once and then you have access to that for as long as you need. If you decide to move on to the next level, so you've done Season 1, maybe you want to move on to Season 2, then that would be a separate purchase. You would purchase that at a later date. Can you download the materials? We've talked about that too. Absolutely. You can download them and store them on your own device. You can download them to a phone, to a tablet, to a computer. All of that is explained within the Coffee Break Academy. And we are also asked, when is your next sale? If I explain that our last sale was Black Friday 2019, we're currently in Black Friday 2020, and it's very likely that our next sale will not be before Black Friday 2021. So we're not the kind of organisation that constantly offers discount codes and coupons and sales and so on. We very much believe that the courses that we offer are very fairly priced, and we feel that they are appropriate pricing for the courses and for what you get out of the course, the experience that you get, and the development of your Spanish that you will get by doing one of our courses and completing the course. So that's why we don't do sales all the time, but with Black Friday, we do have a sale, and it is our kind of annual sale. So this is it. It's running until Tuesday, the 1st of December. So on Tuesday evening, UK time, 11:55 p.m, so just before midnight, that's when the sale will end. And at that point, there will be no further use of the coupon code. It will not be valid after that point. Therefore, you must use the code before Tuesday night. And again, you can use it as many times as you want, but you must do so before Tuesday night. So that's ending on the 1st of December. Okay, just one other thing, and that is about bundles. We do offer the different seasons of the main courses. So these are the Coffee Break Spanish Season 1, 2, 3 and 4. We do offer these as bundles. So you can see here, if one course is normally £96, down to £57.60, then we could bundle together two seasons. So you could buy Seasons 1 and 2 together, and therefore you're saving, again, the 40%, £174 down to £104 if you're buying two seasons. You can also buy three seasons together. So again, you're saving even more, £252 down to £151. And you can even buy all four seasons together 306 down to 183. Now, the US dollar prices are given there in the sort of small print, as it were. So US dollars for one season is 104 down to 62.40. 2 seasons, 183 down to 109.80. 3 seasons, 275 down to 165. And 4 seasons, 335 down to 201. So huge savings there, if especially you want to buy the bundles of the different courses. And one final thing, and that is the fact that this week as well, we are running a prize draw. And in this prize draw, we are offering 4 lucky winners the chance to win our entire learning library, meaning every single course that we've ever produced. And there are over 75 courses as part of our learning library. And there are 32 languages involved. So everything that we have ever produced is our entire learning library, and we're giving that to 4 lucky winners who take part in this giveaway. All you have to do, if you use the coupon code BF2020, you use that at checkout, then you will automatically be entered into this giveaway. If you prefer not to do that and you want to enter a different way, then at the link on the screen there, radiolingua.com/BF2020, you will be able to enter by email through that link. So that is our giveaway. We'll be drawing this next Thursday live on a Facebook Live session and YouTube Live next Thursday, so you can look forward to that. Okay. We're getting a few more questions in. Thank you. I really do appreciate you staying for so long in this session. I do hope it's been useful. Asma is saying, I'm listening to Listen 10, I've listened to Songs of Christmas, can name it to listen on YouTube again because it's one part on your podcast now. I think possibly it's the Jingle Bells song that we did in Spanish, festejar, hay que festejar, or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I'd need to look back on that. But festejar is the verb to celebrate, F-E-S-T-E-J-A-R, festejar. And you might be able to find that there. Other than that, if you look for a Spanish version of Jingle Bells, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. I hope that helps. Tammy Ann is asking, is High Five available in other languages? Yes, we have a High Five French, in which is a similar scenario. We've got Emma, who's learning with her friend Mathilde. 40 lessons again, all video lessons, and it's a lovely way to, I would say it's the best way to have your children learn another language with High Five, because it introduces in a very gradual way. And again, there's nothing else out there where they are learning from someone their own age or a similar age. There are lots of things using puppets or cartoons, but these are real people. And having real people, it means that children can really identify with them and learn very effectively from them. Okay, let me see. Who else do we have here? More questions. Amanda saying, thanks, Mark, very informative. I'm glad you found that, Amanda. HBH is asking, will there be a Masterclass Season 2? We are working on that, and we hope to have that in next year at some point. It won't be early in the year. We'll be launching another Masterclass earlier in the year, but we will have a Masterclass Season 2, which will take on from Masterclass Season 1 and develop it further. Right, let's just scroll back to see if I've answered everybody's questions. Sorry about this. Oh, Tim, right, sorry. Yeah, Tim's asking where's the right place to answer this. I'm looking at Tim's question. It came right at the beginning. Tim, I'm sorry you've been waiting so long for the answer to your question. In English, we say I would like instead of I want to sound more polite. It's not really a conditional statement. Is it the same with quiero as opposed to quisiera or me gustaría? Yes, it absolutely is. So quisiera is not actually a conditional either. The conditional of querer, to want is querer, and the conditional of querer is querría with a double R. Querría, I would like, or I would want. But if you say quisiera, it's actually an imperfect subjunctive form of the verb querer, but it's used in this way to sort of soften a request. So rather than saying quiero una cerveza, I want a beer, you would say quisiera una cerveza, I would like a beer. Likewise, me gustaría, I would like to have something. Me gustaría beber una cerveza. I would like to drink a beer. So that's the way it's used. But yes, we do soften a question by using the conditional, or in the case of Spanish, with the quisiera, which is this strange imperfect subjunctive form, but it's used in that sense. Okay, Karen is asking, do you have any courses like the one taking place in Mallorca that is very good for me when driving a car? Well, I would say all of our courses are perfect for when you're driving. We in all of our courses, particularly things like Season 4, Season 3, and in Marta, in our magazines and so on, whenever we have a question, whenever we challenge you to do some translation or something like that, we always leave a space in order for you to have some time to think about it. So it's perfect when you're driving, and you can be driving along, we can ask you a question, and you can be thinking about that, taking care while you're driving, obviously, but you can be thinking about that, coming up with your response, and then we'll give you the response. So we try to build in that kind of interactivity. We're not literally listening to you and correcting your pronunciation or anything like that, but we will definitely pick up on common errors that people might make, things that learners often do. So we always pick up on things like that. So I would say all of the courses will provide the kind of materials that you can listen to in the car. It's also possible to download all of our materials, all of the audio materials in the Coffee Break Academy, and store them on your phone so that you can easily play them in the car as well. Don saying, I will take off next Thursday. Giveaway, I need an extra life to learn all the languages. Indeed. Tim, I'm glad we've answered your question. No problem at all. Thank you for asking. So, just to say, that website there, radiolingua.com/BF2020, that's where you can find all the information that you need about our Black Friday sale, our webinars, the giveaway, and also the link to all of our courses on the Coffee Break Academy. On the Coffee Break Academy, you'll find every one of our courses, all of the courses I've mentioned and others, all the high five content, all our magazines, our travel diaries, the Coffee Break in Marta con Coffee Break Spanish, all our main Coffee Break Spanish courses, plus the bundles. If you're thinking about buying more than one of the main courses at the same time, so Season 1 and Season 2 or Season 3 and 4, then do check out the bundles, because they're the best way and the most cost-effective way to get access to all of the materials. But crucially, don't forget to put in the coupon code BF2020 at checkout. That is very important, because otherwise you won't get that 40% off. I hope that you have found this useful. Thank you for staying to the very end of this session. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to the team behind the scenes who have been helping with questions and sharing links and so on. But for now, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, wherever you are, and indeed it may well be Sunday morning for some of you, but enjoy the rest of your day. Muchísimas gracias como siempre. Happy coffee breaking. I hope things continue to go well, and I hope that you're able to take advantage of these savings that we have right now. Muchas gracias y hasta la próxima.